This is Part 2 Episode 101. At this moment, his right arm was still trembling. What was even more terrifying was that he could feel his soul shaking. He had used all his might to block Hu Yuhao's attack, but he still felt as if his Xuanwu shield almost broke because of it. If his martial soul broke, he would be severely injured. What the hell, little junior brother? Shu Sanxia asked with a bitter laugh. Hu Yuhao scratched his head awkwardly and said, "Third elder brother, if I tell you I don't know what I did, will you believe me?" "You rascal," Shu Sanxia said unkindly. "Who the hell would believe you?" Hu Yuhao said, "This is an ability that I came up with over the past few days. It comprises just one punch, one sword, and one palm strike. The punch is called the Fist of Remembrance, the sword is called the Sword of Longing, and the palm strike is called the Haodong Palm." Shu Sanxia was stunned. "There's still a palm strike. Had the sword not sent me flying, would you have struck me with your palm?" Hu Yuhao shook his head and said, "No. I need to accumulate strength for my Haodong Palm. Right now, I can't link them together. I don't think I'm strong enough." Shu Sanxi's mouth twitched as he said, "If you're not strong enough, how can you beat me so badly? That's not right. You haven't gotten a new soul ring yet, so your cultivation should only be at rank 60. How can this be possible? How can this be possible? Why are you so strong? Just now, when you slashed with your sword, I felt as if a strange power was tearing my martial soul apart. With my defensive abilities, it would not be hard for me to resist the attack of an 8-ringed soul Doluo. How did you do this?" A dazed look crossed Hu Yuhao's eyes as he said, "I don't know myself. I thought about many things in the past few days, and I fused all my powers together. When I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel, I was able to use these 3 moves I invented. When I use them, all I can think about is Donga. I don't know how this came to be. If I did, I would have held back just now. I'm sorry, third senior brother. How bad are your injuries?" Shu Sanxia asked suspiciously, "This is so strange. Have you become too obsessed? Can you stop being so negative?" Bei Bei's voice rang out. When he saw Shu Sanxia in his pathetic state, he was shocked too. He turned to look at Hu Yuhao joyfully as he said, "Congratulations, little junior brother. You've recovered." Hu Yuhao rushed up and said, "Sorry for making you worry, elder brother." Bei Bei hugged him tightly and said, "It's good that you're all right. There's no need for formality. It appears that you benefited greatly from your closed-door training. Recently, someone's improvement made him as proud as a peacock. It's good that you've taught him a lesson." "Bei Bei, you're not the one who beat me," Shu Sanxia retorted angrily. "What are you so happy about? If you think you're strong enough, come fight me one-on-one." Bei Bei looked at him from the corner of his eyes and said, "I don't have time for you, as I have things to do. Qiu, Gai, gather the rest of them. We have a lead, and I think we'll head out soon. It's fortunate that little junior brother has already recovered. With him, we have a much bigger chance of success." Before Yi Gai could react, Nan Qiu whooped in joy. She rushed into the back hall to gather the rest of them. "Elder brother, what do we have a lead on?" Hu Yuhao asked curiously. "On the matter of rescuing someone from the Sun Moon Empire." "Let's go, we'll talk inside," Bei Bei replied with a serious expression. As he said that, he brought Hu Yuhao and Shu Sanxia into the back hall. The moment he entered, he saw the destroyed tables and chairs. Even the wall at the back had a huge human-shaped hole in it. He could not help but say gleefully, "Sanxia, you should change your nickname from the Eternal Defense. What about the Eternal Wreck?" Wreck your face," Shu Sanxia retorted in frustration. "Don't be too happy. If you dare, try and spar with him. Little junior brother's punch and sword are terrifying. His first punch almost shattered my martial soul, and I could not block the sword. These are not powers that he should be able to use at his level. I think there's been a change in his abilities. You have been happy recently because of your relationship," Bei Bei said unkindly. "Little junior brother's punch and sword surpass his cultivation by a lot, but it did not come from nothing. This came from his longing for Donga. He fused his intent with his emotions and his spiritual power beautifully, and this is the result. Do you think it's easy? His soul power is weaker than yours, but his spiritual power is far beyond yours or mine. He turned his spiritual power into soul power, and achieved this beautiful fusion. Only like that is he able to strike with so much power. However, little junior brother, I advise you not to use this power too often. I'm afraid that if you become too engrossed in this state, you may never be able to snap out of it. Right, said Hu Yuhao. He had the same thoughts. His eyes were still dazed. It seemed like he had yet to escape from his longing for Donga. With great power came great sacrifices. Hu Yuhao's fist of remembrance, sword of longing, and Haodong palm had the same problem. He devoted all his attention to his longing for Wang Donga, which allowed his spiritual power and soul power to fuse perfectly. Then, he injected bits of the power of his spirit eyes, an ice jade empress scorpion. At last, his Haodong palm was a terrifying skill that combined most of his abilities. Even Hu Yuhao himself did not know what would happen if he used this Haodong palm. When he heard Bei Bei's words, Shu Sansha woke up from his reverie as he said, "Little junior brother, Bei Bei is right. Your attack is problematic. Please don't be too engrossed in it. Don't use it unless you have to. Try not to use it too often." As he said that, he pressed down on Hu Yuhao's power, channeling cool and clear Xuanwu soul power into him. Hu Yuhao felt himself tremble. Only then did he regain some lucidity. Thank you, elder brother, third elder brother. However, even without these 3 moves, I'll still miss Donga terribly. But don't worry, I'll be fine. Bei Bei sighed and said, "Little junior brother, you're a prodigy indeed. This perfect fusion of soul power, spiritual power, and emotion surpasses even my ancestors' sovereign's descent. If he was still alive, he'd be proud of you." When Bei Bei mentioned Elder Mu, a look of respect crossed Hu Yuhao's face as he nodded slightly and said, "Don't worry, elder brother. I'll continue to work hard." Shu Sansha took this time to slip into something clean, not hard since he always carried his storage-type soul tool with him. He tidied himself up, so he would look presentable for Jiang Nan Nan. The 3 of them entered the conference hall. After a short while, the upper echelons of the leadership of the Tang sect arrived, too. This time, even Xian Ziwen, He Kai Tu, and Gao Delu came from the Soul Tool Hall. The seats on both sides of the table in the conference hall were all filled. The hall was crammed. After he saw everyone arrive, Bei Bei said, "Everyone is here. Let us begin." Other than Hu Yuhao, the rest of them intoned, "We of the Tang sect will always be unrivaled." Shu Sansha, who sat next to Hu Yuhao, whispered, "This is the motto of the Tang sect from now on. Remember it." "All right," Hu Yuhao nodded back. He looked at everyone else, who were all staring at him happily. Only Xian Ziwen seemed slightly displeased. The rest were all delighted. Bei Bei smiled and said, "Everyone, Hu Yuhao has completed his closed-door training. This is great news. With Hu Yuhao's imitation, the rescue mission will be much easier." When he said that, his face turned serious as he said in a heavy voice, "From what the Academy has told us, the Sun Moon Empire did not imprison their hostages in Radiant City. Instead, they are located in Sunrise City. Sunrise City is to the south of Radiant City. It's surrounded by plains that stretched for as far as the eyes can see. Its geography is simple and so, detrimental to our rescue efforts. Hence, this is why I say that it'll be much easier with Hu Yuhao's imitation. According to assessments made by the Academy, the Sun Moon Empire has become much more wary after the last explosion. As Sunrise City isn't big and has walls, it is very defensible. Not only are there many soldiers there are also evil soul masters and powerful soul engineers. In particular, the surveillance soul tools there are going to be a big problem. I don't think little junior brother's imitation can fool them. This rescue operation will be very difficult." He Kai Tu spoke up, "Elder brother, can we go by a subterranean route?" Bei Bei shook his head and said, "No. The body sect did this twice, and each time, the Sun-Moon Empire was dealt a heavy blow. They surely have their preparations for that tactic now. To us, our greatest advantage is that the Sun-Moon Empire blames the Heavenly Soul Empire and Star Luo Empire for the explosion. They'll keep a much tighter watch on those two countries, at least compared to us. After waiting for 2 months, while the Sun-Moon Empire's defenses are still tight, they should have relaxed psychologically. The Academy has come up with a plan. After a while, those taking part in this mission will meet with them. Teacher Xian, please help look after the Tang sect while we're gone. Among all of us here, Nan Nan and Xiao Xiao will stay behind. When Jiang Nan Nan and Xiao Xiao heard that, they were shocked. However, before they could speak, Bei Bei raised his hand, indicating to them that they should let him finish. This rescue operation will be extremely dangerous. The Tang sect's development is going smoothly, so it's best for the two of you to stay behind. I, Kaitu, Sancha, Yu Hao, Gai, Qiu, and Juechen shall take part in this operation. The rest of you shall stay behind. Oi, elder brother, how can you forget me? Jing Ziyan said unhappily. Bei Bei thought for a while and then said, all right, you can come along, too. It's decided then. Nan Nan, Xiao Xiao, and Nana shall stay behind. The Academy has its own arrangements for Mo Xian. Delu, stay behind with Teacher Xian to continue the work of our Soul Tool Hall. Elder brother, Hui Yu Hao said suddenly. Yes? Bei Bei said as he looked at Hui Yu Hao. Hui Yu Hao said, this operation is important, but we still need someone from the Tang sect to manage everything. You should stay too. This time, second elder brother and third elder brother shall lead us. Stay at home and look after the sect. We'll feel more at ease like this, too. Bei Bei frowned and said, how can I do that? Shu Sancha said, Hui Yu Hao is right. Bei Bei, you should stay. The Tang sect has enough things for you to take care of already. If you give them all to Nan Nan and Xiao Xiao, they'll be under a lot of pressure. Orders from the Heavenly Soul Empire, the Star Luo Empire, and the Douling Empire are coming in like snow during a blizzard. Do you want Teacher Xian to take care of them personally? If Yu Hao had not ended his closed-door training, you would have had to go. But now that we have Yu Hao, what's the point in you going? Once Hui Yu Hao recovers fully, he'll be stronger than you in all aspects. So I advise you not to go. Bei Bei laughed and replied, while I know you're speaking the truth, you should think about my feelings too, right? Looking at it, I really should try and work harder. Yu Hao, you. Hui Yu Hao could tell what his elder brother was worried about. He nodded and said, don't worry, elder brother, I'm fine. After I come back from the rescue operation, I'll look for Donga. Then I'll resume my closed-door training. Bei Bei was not someone who was prone to hesitation. He also knew that the Tang sect needed him to stay behind. This rescue operation could not be allowed to affect the overall development of the sect. Okay, it's decided. This time, Yu Hao shall lead. Yu Hao, don't shirk from your role. I can only be at ease if I hand everyone over to you. Bring all of them back to me safely. Yes, elder brother, said Hui Yu Hao. He did not refuse the role. A clear, smooth light shone in the depths of his eyes. The cold light flashed and disappeared. If not for the Sun-Moon Empire, we would not have entered the Yin-Yang love-querying valley. If we hadn't entered the valley, how would Donga? Regardless of whether it was because of national or personal reasons, he stood firmly against the Sun-Moon Empire. He could not imagine what it would be like for the Sun-Moon Empire to rule the continent while following the religion of evil soul masters. He was already a youth, but he was fighting for the ones he loved. He wanted revenge for Donga, and he sought to increase his own strength. The words of the leader of the Clear Sky sect, Niu Qian, were seared into his mind. As a man, if he could not even protect his own woman, what right did he have to be with her? Donga, wait for me. After I rescue them, I'll look for you. It's been almost 3 months, are you awake yet? When he thought of Donga, Hui Yu Hao could feel his heart burning. Fighting intent blazed fiercely inside him. Jiang Nan Nan and Xiao Xiao looked unwilling, but Bei Bei had already made up his mind. There was nothing else for them to say. Originally, Bei Bei did not even want Hikaitu to take part. However, once he thought about the dangers of this operation, he realized that he needed the extra firepower Hikaitu could provide, and allowed him to go. Yu Hao, come over. Right after the meeting, Xian Ziwen called Hu Yu Hao over. Do you still want to study soul engineering? Don't tell me you've decided to give up on it completely. Xian Ziwen said angrily. He had not seen Hu Yu Hao working in the Soul Tool Hall for many months. Hu Yu Hao scratched his head and said, Teacher Xian, I don't intend to give up on soul engineering. However, I can't research the latest technology in soul engineering with you anymore. It's all right. Say no more. We all have our own aspirations, and I won't force you. Before you go, however, pop over by my table. I've helped you do some maintenance and made some tweaks to your human-shaped soul tool. Look at what you've done. Everything is a mess. How much material did you waste? HMPH. After he said that, Xian Ziwen turned to leave. As he watched Xian Ziwen walk off, Hu Yu Hao felt his heart grow warm. While teacher Xian might be strict, he cared for Yu Hao deeply. Before he commenced his closed-door training, he had passed his human-shaped soul tool over to Xian Ziwen. When he made it, he did use many rare metals, but that was so that he could bring more types of rare metal back, and Xian Ziwen definitely knew that. Of course, his human-shaped soul tool was still rough and unpolished, as he had not had a lot of time to make it. Since Xian Ziwen said that he had made some tweaks to it, it was likely that he had come up with a revolutionary new design for the human-shaped soul tool. Even the Sun Moon Empire, which did not have the mechanical technology of the Tang sect, could not come up with such a perfect design. Everyone went back to pack. Of course, the two couples also said their goodbyes to each other. After 2 hours, they gathered in the sparring arena of the Tang sect. Hu Yu Hao, Hikaitu, Shu Sanxia, Ji Juechen, Jing Ziyan, Yi Gai, and Nan Qiuqiu, 7 of them in total. 6 were Soul Emperors, plus Hu Yu Hao, who could be said to be a pseudo-Soul Emperor. Bei Bei walked over in front of Hu Yu Hao and said, Little junior brother, this trip is dangerous. I'm entrusting you with everyone's safety. There's only one instruction from me, and that's to come back alive no matter what happens. Do it for the Tang sect, and for yourselves. We of the Tang sect will always be unrivaled. Elder brother, I'll bring everyone back safely, even if I... All right, go. Bei Bei did not wait for him to finish. He slapped his shoulder and walked ahead of everyone in the direction of the main door. Hu Yu Hao and his partners caught up quickly. Under Bei Bei's leadership, they walked out in the direction of Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy was still the same. Due to the rapid development of soul tools, Shrek Academy was in a new stage of prosperity. The expansion of the soul tool department meant the school had added 3 new classes for soul engineering across all grades. When Hu Yu Hao arrived at the door of the academy, it was already noon. The students had ended their lessons and were streaming out the doors. Outside the academy, hawkers sold their food and merchandise to the students. It was a lively sight. Shu Sanxia squeezed Hu Yu Hao's shoulder, sighed, and said, Every time I see this scene, I'll think back to the moment when we first met. At that time, weren't you one of them? As he said that, his expression turned to anguish. Little junior brother, when was the last time you made grilled fish for us? This time, you must cook grilled fish for us. All right, said Hu Yu Hao. He looked forward, and noticed that Bei Bei's body stiffened visibly when Shu Sanxia mentioned grilled fish. He sighed in his heart. He knew that this scene filled elder brother with memories. How could he not think of teacher Xiao Ya? Shu Sanxia was smart. When he saw Hu Yu Hao's gaze, he too noticed the change in Bei Bei's emotions. Oh right, Bei Bei, do you mind showing your drawing to little junior brother? He went to the Icefire Yin-Yang well before, right? Perhaps what you need is over there. Bei Bei stopped and turned around. He slapped his forehead in self-remorse and said anxiously, Oh right. How could I have forgotten? Sanxia, you finally did something right. Little junior brother, have you seen these two types of plants? When I was in the Yin-Yang Love Querying Valley, it gave me this hint. I believe we need these items to save little YA. As he said that, Bebe carefully took a manual out from an inner pocket. He opened it, revealing two exquisite drawings. The first one was a huge, pink flower. Its alluringly pink petals were in full bloom, and the very sight of it was astounding. The second one was a blade grass that looked crystal blue. Is this the delicate silk immortal? Hui Yuhao asked in shock. When he heard him say this name, Bebe's body froze, and he said, "Little junior brother, you recognize it." Since his return from the Sun Moon Empire, he had used his prize to find the best artist. He described this image, and got the artist to draw it. However, while he did manage to get an image for it and prepared the money for it, not a single soul master or shop in Shrek City knew what these two items were. After a few months, even Bebe had lost hope. He had never expected that Hui Yuhao would be the one with the answer. Hui Yuhao nodded and said, "I should be right. I saw this plant in the Icefire Yin-Yang well, and it left a deep impression on me, too. I named it the delicate silk immortal, as it was an extremely rare and expensive type of plant. In the Icefire Yin-Yang well, one of them had even become sentient. Elder brother, after we come back, I'll search for it with you. Furthermore, the delicate silk immortal's knowledge of plants is superb. Even if we don't recognize the second one, it will." Bebe's breathing quickened. After a long while, he nodded and said, "All right, we'll speak upon your return." It took a lot of self-restraint to prevent himself from dragging Hui Yuhao off to search for the delicate silk immortal immediately. No matter how much he loved Tang Ya, no matter how much he wanted to find the medicine to cure her, he had to place the interests of the sect above his own. Hui Yuhao noticed his frustration. "Elder brother, we'll come back soon." "Yes." As he said that, they were already at the gate of the school. Facing them, a group of young students was walking out. The two groups bumped into each other, as the road was obstructed on both sides by hawkers. At the back of the student group was a young student in a purple uniform. He should be in the 4th grade in the outer yard. His hair was deep blue, and he looked energetic, with a proud expression. "Move aside," one of the youths next to the short blue-haired youth shouted at Hui Yuhao fiercely. In terms of appearance, they were around Hui Yuhao's age. At most, they were only younger than him by 1 or 2 years. Next to them were 5 or 6 other students from Shrek Academy, all clad in purple uniforms, among them some pretty girls. Hui Yuhao would never make a scene with his juniors over such an issue. He smiled slightly and moved to one side. However, while he was magnanimous, not everyone was like him. "Oi! Can you behave with some decorum?" a woman's voice sounded. Someone appeared next to Hui Yuhao. Her hands were on her waist as she looked angrily at the group of young men and women. "Do you even know what courtesy is? Don't you know that you should make way for your seniors? Move aside." The provocateur was naturally Nan Qiuqiu. While Nan Qiuqiu was not as dazzling as Jiang Nan Nan or Wang Donga, she was pretty in her own right. The moment she jumped out next to Hui Yuhao, she was able to catch everyone's attention. The skinny youth's eyes lit up as he said, "Whoa! What a beauty! Where did you come from? Why don't I recognize you?" Hui Yuhao and his entourage were not wearing the uniform of Shrek Academy, so naturally, they were regarded as outsiders. Nan Qiuqiu said angrily, "Cut the crap. Move aside. If not, I'll beat you up so badly your own mother won't recognize you." The skinny youth was stunned. He mumbled, "This babe is feisty indeed. Boss, what should we do?" The youth with the blue hair, who was evidently their leader, frowned and said helplessly, "It's fine. Real men don't fight with women." As he said that, he moved to the side as he tried to walk past Nan Qiuqiu. However, Nan Qiuqiu did not give up so easily. She grabbed his arm and said, "Are you insulting women?" The blue-haired youth was perplexed as he said, "How did I insult women?" As he said that, he shrugged his shoulders slightly, and all Nan Qiuqiu felt then was that she was grabbing onto a chunk of soft clay. Her hands slid free, and her target slipped out of her grasp. Wow! You still dare to resist. Her eyes glinted, and energy started to pulsate from her body. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black ring, 5 in total, rose from underneath her feet. Her powerful aura dominated the entire area. Soul King! The skinny youth exclaimed in shock. He could not help but take a few steps back. This auntie here is a Soul King. Hui Yu Hao slapped his forehead. We're in trouble now. Indeed, when she heard him call her an auntie, Nan Chocho, whose intentions were more playful than malicious, blew her top. She glared at the skinny youth so intently the veins on her forehead could be seen. Fire blazed in her eyes as she uttered, word by word, "Who are you calling auntie?" Nan Chocho was only 20 years old. While she had a nice body, how could any woman not care about her age? When she heard that, she was naturally enraged. The skinny youth was a natural-born troublemaker. He did not appear to be afraid of trouble as he said, sticking his neck out, "I'm calling you auntie, you big-breasted bimbo. So what if you're a Soul King? If you want to show off in front of Shrek Academy, don't cry if I beat you up so badly your own mother won't even recognize you. I'm going to kill you." The ruby dragon appeared above Nan Chocho's forehead. If not for Yi Gai, who was holding her back, she would have already rushed forward. "See. Even you admit that you're old," the skinny youth said, without a care in the world. "Be kind with your words, Junior," said Hui Yu Hao. He noticed that Nan Chocho was on the verge of exploding, and so had no choice but to intervene. As he said that, he stood in front of Nan Chocho. The skinny youth was just about to retort, but then saw the clear light in Hui Yu Hao's eyes. His eyes glazed over as he said, "Oh." Including the blue-haired youth, the entire group of grade 4 students from the outer courtyard all felt as if Hui Yu Hao's warm gaze was staring straight at them. Their brains were all in a complete mess. "Move aside." "Okay." The group of young men and women all moved aside. Hui Yu Hao turned around and dragged Nan Chocho into the academy with everyone else. "Why are you dragging me? I'm going to kill them all. They dared to call me an auntie. Am I that old?" Nan Chocho was about to rush back outside, but the hand Hui Yu Hao was grabbing her with felt as solid as gold. No matter how much she struggled, she could feel a powerful energy coming from his hand, making her soul power and spiritual power tremble. There was no way she could break free of him. "If you continue to cause trouble, you don't need to come with us anymore. Stay at the Tang sect," intoned Hui Yu Hao. As she looked at his serious expression, Nan Chocho suddenly felt a sense of fear rising in her heart for no apparent reason. The anger in her heart was a fire that was just now doused by cold water. She became much calmer. All right. There's no need to be so fierce." Nan Chocho's tone dipped. Hui Yu Hao let go of her hand, smiled thinly at her, and said, "Am I that fierce? Let's go, we're going to see God's Island." Shusansha walked behind them as he said in a bored tone, "So boring. If they really fight, wouldn't that be a sight? Chocho is a hot little chili, indeed. What a volatile personality." He Kai too smiled slightly and said, "Screw that. You should stop causing trouble, too. Let's go." Shusansha chuckled and said, "We're all youths, and should behave as such. Brother Ji, am I right? Go." Ji Juechen replied in his typical clipped fashion. At the gate of Shrek Academy, the group students from grade 4 finally cleared their heads. The skinny youth mumbled, "What happened? What's going on? I feel like I'm floating." The youth with the short blue hair turned serious as he said, "We appear to have been manipulated. That person was so strong. Do you know who he is?" A girl said, "I've never seen him before. Judging by his age, he should be about as old as us. However, why don't I have any impression of him?" The youth with the short hair said, "He called us juniors, so he must be someone from the academy. Could he be a senior from the inner courtyard? Right? He must be. If not, how could his spiritual power be so strong?" A hawker next to him could not help but interject, "Young brother, stop thinking about it. You can't afford to piss that guy off. He's known as the most talented student Shrek Academy has seen in the last 1,000 years. The blue-haired youth turned to look at the man in shock and asked, "Uncle, you know him?" The hawker nodded and said, "Of course I do. 5 to 6 years ago, he had a stall here too, selling grilled fish. His business was rather good. Then the academy decided to place special emphasis on nurturing him. We've all heard his story. Once I say his name, you'll naturally know who he is. He's called Hui Yuhao." Hui Yuhao. The blue-haired youth's voice jumped a few octaves. His eyes were filled with shock. The group of grade 4 students behind him all appeared paralyzed. The skinny youth's face turned pale, and then green as he said, I told Senior Hua to make way for me. Heavens! I'm dead, I'm so dead." The young girl who had spoken before couldn't help but ask the hawker, "Uncle, so that person just now was the Hui Yuhao? The champion who seized the championship from the jaws of defeat in the last Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament, who also represented the Tang sect and defeated an evil soul sage in the most recent tournament. The one born with twin martial souls and an ultimate martial soul, who is also known as the top genius from Shrek Academy." The hawker mumbled, "I don't know all those titles, but the name Hui Yuhao is rare. There appears to be only one guy from the academy with that name." The blue-haired youth mumbled to himself, "It's him, it must be him. One of Senior Yuhao's martial souls is Spirit Eyes. Just now, when we saw him, he used some power in his eyes. We passed by our idol just like that. Let's go. We must apologize to our senior." As he said that, he turned and ran in the other direction. The others followed him. However, when they reached the shore of the Sea God's Lake, they could not see anyone from the Tang sect. All they saw was a few small, black dots stepping on shore in the middle of the lake. The blue-haired youth sighed and muttered, "We missed our chance. We really missed our chance." Hui Yuhao naturally did not know about how his juniors reacted to the discovery of his identity. Now, he was back with his companions on Sea God's Island. Every time he returned, he would sense a warm feeling that made him happy. However, it was different this time, because someone was missing. At the Sea God's Pavilion, Hui Yuhao did not enter straight away. Instead, he knelt in front of the blooming golden tree, and kowtowed 3 times. It was his way of honoring Elder Mu. "Teacher, I'm back. I think I found the path that you talked about," Hui Yuhao mumbled softly. A clear gust of wind blew, and the tree leaves on the golden tree danced. The tree emitted a faint compassionate aura. "Get up. Have you recovered?" Elder Xian's voice rang out from the Sea God's Pavilion. Hui Yuhao stood up and said respectfully, "Yes." "Hello, Elder Xian." Elder Xian replied, "Come in." Not everyone could enter the Sea God's Pavilion. Bei Bei and Shu Sansha naturally knew this rule. Nan Xiuqiu and Yi Gai, who were not as familiar with the rules of Shrek Academy, were brought to wait at one side. Hui Yuhao entered the Sea God's Pavilion alone. Elder Xian sat at the head of a long table. He was not alone. The other elders of the Sea God's Pavilion, including Zhong Lishuan, were all present. There was only one empty chair. Elder Xian nodded at Hui Yuhao and said, "When you were undergoing your closed-door cultivation, Bei Bei took over your spot temporarily. Now that you're back, please take up your seat once more." "Yes," Hui Yuhao replied respectfully. He bowed to the other elders before walking to the seat at the table and sitting down. He lowered his head slightly, appearing extremely respectful. Elder Xian looked at him and said, "Yuhao, you've grown. After Dorma got into trouble, I was afraid that you might not recover from it. Now, I see that you've managed to hold yourself together. Your powers have improved greatly, too. Very good. I believe Elder Mu's spirit would rejoice at the sight of you now, too. You are indeed his chosen one." Hui Yuhao said respectfully, "Grief solves nothing. While Dorma sleeps, all I can do is continually improve myself. After she wakes up, I'll be better able to protect her." "Good that you know," Elder Xian said gladly. "Now that everyone is here, the meeting of the Sea God's Pavilion shall start. We have only one thing on the agenda, and that's the mission. The meeting lasted for more than 4 hours. Fortunately, Shusansha and Hikaitu both had places to stay in the inner courtyard. After waiting for a while, they brought Jijuechen, Jingxian, and the rest away to eat before coming back to wait some more. After one entire afternoon, Hu Yuhao finally emerged from the sea god's pavilion. He did not say anything to them. All he told them was that they would be moving out tomorrow, before he brought everyone back to the Tang sect. As they left Shrek Academy, it was still lesson time. This time, they naturally did not meet any juniors. Shusansha felt a twinge of regret. Back at the Tang sect, everyone busied themselves. They packed their daily necessities, and brought out everything they needed to use. Those from the Tang sect would play a big role in the plan the Sea God's Pavilion had come up with. For everyone to return peacefully, Beibei opened the warehouse of the Tang sect to let them pick what they needed. The first thing Hu Yuhao took out was the giant heart-protecting mirror made out of starlight sapphire, which had once held the illustrious Virtue Hall's human-shaped soul tool, and which he had been keeping safe for Donga. With the heart-protecting mirror on him, he and Hikaitu started to gear up. They worked until midnight, and only then did Hu Yuhao find Xianzuan. After he left his room, he had another starlight sapphire ring on him. In the morning the next day, Beibei personally brought everyone from the Tang sect out to send them off. They only went back after the team left Shrek City. Hu Yuhao's flying type soul tool was now grade 7. This one was made personally by Xianzuan. It was both fast, agile, and defensively strong. Furthermore, it was customized to his needs, according to his measurements. Of course, this was possible only because Hu Yuhao had managed to get enough materials from the Sun Moon Empire the last time he was there. Hu Yuhao jumped into the air, and a light flashed in his eyes. He did not release his martial soul, but the grade 7 soul tool on his back opened. The soul tool looked odd. It resembled a pair of butterfly wings, each of which had thrusters built in. In total, there were 12, 6 on top and 6 below, aligned at different heights. When the dozen thrusters activated together, he was able to